Hello and welcome back to the Real Gaming Family channel on YouTube. It's been a while, I know. I'm a really busy guy, but I wanted to do a video and come back and show you the new LG C2 42-inch display monitor that we picked up the other week. It replaced my old Alienware 38DW ultra-wide panel, which I love, by the way. So I'm just going to do a quick video to talk through, see what my initial thoughts are. It's not going to be any, I'm going to go do calibration and colour scales and charts and make up, the videos everybody else does. It's just going to be a normal guy talking about my thoughts on this panel. It's gone off, brilliant timing. And see what we think about it, just from a standard person's perspective, because I know a lot of people out there, like myself, we like to hear just honest thoughts about it without going into all the tech details. So that's where we're going to be today. The one I'm talking about today is the LG C2 42-inch OLED display. I was really excited to get this. So you may be aware that my previous monitor was an Alienware 38-inch DW ultra-wide monitor. I loved that monitor. It was amazing. So I had a hard time getting rid of it. I was thinking about selling it for some time, especially when these LG OLEDs were on a Black Friday deal last year. I think they was on offer for like $6.99, which was incredible at the time. I paid a little bit more than that, so I managed to pick this up for $8.50 from Costco, which I think is about the cheapest you get it right now. And I managed to sell my Alienware ultra wide monitor at a really good premium as well, so I didn't lose too much money on that. And then it took about a week for this to be delivered. When it turned up, the first thing I noticed about it was obviously the first thing everybody's going to notice about an OLED, and that is the colours. The colours really do pop, and it's just amazing to behold. The blacks, the colours, it's just something else. It makes the screen almost look like a window, which I've not really had before. So other monitors, LCD, you kind of get the impression that it is a screen. This one kind of breaks that fourth dimension a little bit, so it's almost as if you don't lose the immersion so much. I've tried to get some wallpapers going on in the background to really show off, and we are recording in HDR. I'm unsure whether YouTube's going to process that correctly, but hopefully you can see the colours on this are incredible. So that's the first impressions I had from it. The other concern I had was the fact that it was 42-inch, and 42-inch is a big increase in size from my previous monitor, which was 38. However, the 38-inch monitor was wide, so it was about as wide as that, but maybe 3/4 high. So the increase in vertical height what I've got from this was a concern, and I've got to be honest with you, the first couple of days when I plugged it in, I was thinking, holy cow, it's too big, it's too overpowering. And on my desk particularly as well, it's 90 centimeters deep, which is probably 50% larger than most people's desks. I think a lot of people go for the IKEA type desks, which are like 60 centimeters in depth generally. So the fact I've got that extra depth in my room, and the monitor at the back on an arm, you'll notice I've got no legs on there, so it's on an Ergotron arm, which gives me the ability to move it about and push it right back to the wall as well. So the fact that that was really overpowering is probably a bit of a concern for if I had a smaller desk. Maybe I wouldn't have got over it. But what I will say is that after 2 days of use, all that went away. All that concern about the size and being overpowering and too big for the desk, I just got used to it. And then I really started to enjoy it. It's 120 Hz refresh rate, so 4K 120 Hz. I've got an RTX 3090, still the one that I previously attached the water block to on a previous video. I'm still running that card. It is starting to struggle a little bit, especially using it at 4K, especially using it at 120 Hz. Things like Cyberpunk, you're going for the ray tracing, it's never getting anywhere near that. In fact, it doesn't even get to 60 FPS. So we're getting to the time when that's going to need replacing. This monitor does really kick the life out of your hardware. You need specific and dedicated hardware to run it. That said, you don't have to turn all the graphics up. You don't have to have ray tracing turned on. So a 3090 with Cyberpunk ray tracing turned off and max graphics 4K, it probably will do a nice 60 Hz quite comfortably. I play a lot of COD, so I can now comfortably do Warzone and hit 120 frames, 4K, no problem whatsoever. Warzone's limited by CPU, so I have recently had to upgrade my CPU. I'm now on 13th gen Intel. I've not gone to DDR5, I am on DDR4 still, but I've upgraded that to 4200 megahertz RAM speed. But I digress. We're talking about something else today. We're talking about the monitor. So, being able to hit 120 Hz is nothing new. Nothing new at all. I've had 144 monitors for many years, and it is incredible. If you've not gone to 144 Hz or 120 Hz and you're still stuck at 60, the difference is incredible. I suggest you do it. But where this really shines is the response time. The response time on the pixels is very, very noticeable. So there's no blur, there's no ghosting. It is instantaneous from the movement of the hand. There's literally zero lag, nothing whatsoever. So for CSGO players, I like to play CSGO. 120 Hz, there's not a massive drop from 144, but I used to notice that. So previously on some games I would have to set the monitor from 144 to 120, so the graphics card was capable enough to put up with the graphics that I was trying to drive through at the time. I have toyed with the movement from both sides of that argument, and it is noticeable. 144 to 120, some of you may not be able to notice it. For me it is. Whether that's a visual thing or just a feeling, it's noticeable. On this, I think it balances it out quite well because of that response time. So you're losing 24 Hz, but you're gaining probably more response time, so the balance is more even, and it's just nicer to play on, guys. I can't explain it. I'm not technical enough to go into the weeds and start talking about the maths inside. I probably could get my calculator out and work out the response times and everything, but I'm not going to do that because it's boring. What I'm going to tell you is my honest opinion, and I'm telling you now, the response time of this paired with the 120 Hz and the 4K and the HDR and the brightness and everything is absolutely glorious. Next thing, I've read online that the brightness isn't enough. It's only got so many nits of brightness, blah blah blah. If you put it in a bright room, well, I can tell you now, it's bright enough. It's bright enough so that when you're playing on an evening, I have to turn it down. It burns your eyes away. Not in a bad way, by the way. It's super bright. The HDR content's great. It's beautiful to play on. Now, I have curtains in my room, so behind the camera, I've got blinds across the back, I've got curtains down the side because there's a few windows in here, and it's absolutely perfect to use in this light. The other thing that I've read concerns of is the glossy finish. Now the camera may be picking up some reflections, I'm sure it is because it's the blinds at the back of the room, they do let some light through, but I could sit here and work on it comfortably, no problem. So we've gone through the gaming side of it. Gaming's incredible. Gaming is just next level. I've never experienced anything like it, gaming. I could sit here and play games and it feels like I've just gone to next gen. So console players here, you know, when you go from your Xbox One to your Series X or your PS4 to your PS5, and you get that feeling of, wow, this is looking incredible now. I'm just going to play games. I'm going to admire the scenery, the vistas, superb. And I've got that feeling from this monitor. It's TV. So I've gone back to playing Cyberpunk. I chinned Cyberpunk off when that game was first released because it was so broken and it was so frustrating. I've gone back to that now with this screen and I'm just blown away by it. I'm loving playing it, not so much for anything other than just the actual artistic style, the lighting, the neons, everything. You walk around at night time and this monitor just absolutely is glorious. So that's another thing. It's making games feel like I've had a generational leap. That is great. The other things, I do a lot of productivity. I'm currently studying a university degree, so I do Microsoft Word, Excel, I'm doing research, I'm looking at other people's papers, and there is a pixel configuration on this which is RGBW. That's another thing I read out. So there's an extra pixel to stabilize the image when it's the white pixel rather than just being a red, a green and a blue. Now that can play up with the pixel configuration that is built into Windows. So you turn clear type on, and that kind of cleans it up somewhat. It is noticeable. It is not as clear for productivity as a dedicated monitor. I'll say that now. But it's not bad. In fact, if you knew no different, you'd think it was amazing still. It's only because I've read up on it that I've actually paid attention to it, and I've noticed this is not as clear as the Alienware monitor. But it's not going to slow me down. I spent 6 hours last Saturday just sat looking at Microsoft Word. Didn't give me a headache, didn't frustrate me, it didn't make me think like, oh wow, I need to change a monitor, I need to go out and buy another monitor to cope with the productivity. Not at all. So don't let that concern you. If you've got productivity to do, and you want, your primary thing is gaming, which mine is, I use this for gaming more, and the productivity is separate, go for it. If your main thing is productivity and gaming is a secondary thing, then maybe I'd stick to the ultra wide, because the ultra wide really is glorious. I know even that Alienware 38-inch monitor, that got a bad rep because it had a poor implementation of the HDR on that monitor, which it did. The HDR wasn't great, but it was good. It was good. It just had a bad band effect where it'd light up an entire zone to cope with HDR, and that did frustrate me a little bit. But for productivity and gaming as a whole package, don't get me wrong, that monitor was superb. But when you factor in gaming as the primary output of your time when you're at the desk and you start using a screen, I don't think anything is going to beat this. Not for some time now. I know there are OLED ultra-wides out there. I know there are 27-inch OLEDs and 32-inch OLEDs now specified for desktop use. But they're so expensive. I don't get it. I know Asus have released a similar panel and they've put the ROG on it, and it's probably got like a little ROG logo on it and blah blah blah. But these 27-inch actual PC monitors, they're going for like £1,500 or something. When you consider this is £850, it's a no-brainer. Okay, it hasn't got DisplayPort, but it's got 4 HDMI 2.1. So I'm going to plug my PS5 into it. I've got my PC outputting at 2.1 from the 3090. I've got an Amazon Fire Stick on there so I can watch footy and other things, and a bit of YouTube and Netflix if I want to through that, but you know, I've got the PC for that as well. So yeah, it's great. It's a really, really great monitor. Anything else to add? So VESA mounting. Okay, so as I alluded to at the start of the video, I have my monitor on an Ergotron arm and it's VESA mounted. Now, the VESA mount holes on the back of this monitor are 300 by 200. So I had to buy an adapter. I will link the adapter I bought in the comments below, or in the video description, sorry. So that's one thing to know. If you do want it mounted and you decide to buy one of these, you know, you will need that adapter. People have moaned about the plug being non-removable. That's nothing to me. It's no consequence. Anything else? I don't know. Another thing I got, I don't know if you've seen this, I got a nice little light bar to shine down on the desk, and that makes it look even more prettier. So yeah, that is my little honest man's opinion and review about the LG C2 42-inch monitor, or TV, but I'm going to call it a monitor because it's on a PC. I haven't really got anything else to add other than if I was to be an actual review man, I'd be like 5 stars out of 5. The unboxing video would be another video, but you know, I ain't going to show you unboxing. It was boring. I literally cut the tape off, I ripped it out, I threw it on there. What do you get in the box? You get a remote. There's a little plastic shroud. I even looked at what that plastic shroud's for. It's still in the box. You've got a remote zapper thing, what's for Skybox, that's back in the box. I don't care about that. And then you get the feet. The feet were like crappy little plastic things. If you're going to use the feet, I'm sure they'll be very functional. I don't care about that. They're back in the box. Box is in the attic. Anything else I can talk about? So, okay, yeah, another thing. You got a settings menu in here. You can turn game mode on. I'd recommend that. If you're watching this video and you're thinking about the TV, you know what game mode is. but it's quite cool. You know, you've got G-Sync, there we go, it shows that. I have it capped at 119, so that means G-Sync takes over because it's one below the refresh rate. Dark room, you can just click that and it'll lower the brightness. So sometimes I'll use that on a night time. As I said before, sometimes it can get overpowering. I've got the brightness turned quite down on this at the moment. Low latency is turned on. Some game optimizer settings here. If you want to copy my settings, I've had these settings on for quite some time. It seems to be very, very nice to play on. Prevent input lag delay. I've not bothered turning that on. You can boost that up. I've boosted it on for a while, didn't notice any difference, I must be honest with you, so I didn't bother with it. The other thing is the calibration out the box wasn't great, so I was told, so I went through and did some adjustments in here. I'll come back to that. So the advanced picture settings, the one thing that I did have to do, which I think did make a really nice difference, was there you go, I've got energy saving on, it's bright enough. Contrast, I haven't got full, bright enough. Gamma's going up. Neighbour's doing some DIY, I don't know if you can hear that. The colour, this is what I had to do some adjustment on. Can you believe this? Doing DIY is ruining my video. So, the colour temperature, was it the colour temperature? Oh, it was the white point, I think. Where is it? White balance. I can't even find it anyway. It's the colour temperature. I'm sure I had to change it, but does it go down to 47? Yeah, I think I was watching some calibration video anyway, and he said, you know, the white point's really off, so you should change this to like 47 or something. But I found that a little bit too warm. Obviously, I've changed the settings since then, and I've lost my calibration. But yeah, I suggest that you do check out some calibration videos, because out of the box the colours are a little bit saturated, I found. I guess they do that for the, you know, the Curry's demonstration when they've got the specific Blu-ray running to make you go, holy cow, that looks unreal, I'm going to spend all my pennies on this monitor. For some reason LG have left those kind of settings from out the box, so it looks a bit, it's too much, I found. But the fact that it's reset and I've not noticed it says everything, I guess. I guess it's not too bad after all. So what did I want to go back to? I wanted to go back to the picture. So this blew my mind. I wasn't expecting this. So I've come from an ultra wide monitor, and if you want to go back to an ultra wide monitor, you can. Somewhere. I thought it was in that. This is not turning out to be a very good end to this video. Is it in there? Oh no. Anyway, you can do it. You can go in there and you can change the aspect ratio, and at some point you can change that to 32:9. It might be actually when you launch a game, so let's see if we can actually do that, and then I will prove my point before I end this video on a high. We're going to end it on a high. Let's have a look. So if we go to change resolution, what options do we have? We don't have any ultra wide there, so can we set our own? No, it's not giving us the option. But I'm not lying to you, I swear to God, you can go into this setting when you're playing a game and you can set it to ultra wide, and it will give you black bars on the top and bottom, but obviously on this monitor they're not going to be grey, they're going to be super black. And then you can reintroduce the width and the cropped vertical if you want to do that. So it does give you that external field of view, which does give you some kind of advantages when you're playing first person shooters. I kind of like it, so I will be going back, I will be experimenting with that. I would put in this monitor to ultra wide mode, and I'll be seeing if I can just, you know, maybe set COD up for a Warzone for playing at ultra wide, because even though this is incredible, sometimes I miss that extra field of view. So I won't be doing another video on that. It does exist. Check out someone else's video if you want to see it. It is there. But yeah, my verdict on this monitor is, if you can afford it, go out and buy one because they're great. So peace out. I've been the Real Gaming Family. You've been the Real Gaming Family. Been great seeing you. Till next time, peace.